America has tried to avoid world wars, both times at that. However, we've discovered that we've actually served a vital position to these global wars and has affected many, including ourselves, by our decisions. After World War I, for the most part, America was the only one besides Japan who was truly economically stable. Huge loans were given to multiple countries, and a new fad had came about called buying on the margin, basically spending money that didn't quite exist. Eventually, people began freaking out, doubting the stocks, and putting their money out of the banks. This resulted in the stock market crash. Along with the stock market crash came uneven distribution of wealth, a standstill towards spending money, and overproduction. These actions brought forth a trickling-down effect with the economy. America had to take back all their previous loans and even start an import tax. This had a huge influence and pulled everyone else's economy down drastically. This depression led governments, especially new democracies, to become weak. It had numerous effects on people. Some social effects were suicide rates increased, people stopped visiting hospitals, and women avoided creating families. Independency was key. Some psychological effects were that people felt as they had become failures. There had been more admissions to mental institutions, and even mindsets were changed as far as earning money. The Depression was made even worse by the Dust Bowl. The Dust Bowl was a major drought that was a huge crisis to Americans everywhere. The Depression was made better by the New Deal. In 1932 was the first presidential election after the Depression, and Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected. He actually understood and could relate to the people. 1933 marked the point where he started to slowly pull America out of depression. He created a plan that brought forth recovery, relief, and reform to the people. His new plans gave his people hope and slightly boosted the economy. Problems deriving all the way back from the very first World War triggered the Second World War. Germany was still upset about the outcome of the Treaty of Versailles. It extremely added to their destroyed economy and weak government. Other countries were also upset about the results of the war. For instance, Italy had helped the Allies towards their success, yet they barely received any credit or reward. Many countries were trying to recover and were extremely dissatisfied with their governments. They wanted desperately for someone to come in and rescue them from their extreme financial problems. Countries chose fascism, willing to be stripped their freedoms and rights in exchange for welcoming a new leader who seemed to be promising of change and the hero to their problems. The uprising of these dictators definitely led to World War II. Germany was ready to attain a new image for themselves. They allied with Italy and Japan and became the Great Axis powers, and also agreed not to fight the USSR and partnered with him temporarily. It was back one again. The Allies versus the Great Axis powers. World War Part 2. The free world, such as America, Britain, and France, decided on practicing isolation, choosing not to interfere. Britain and France gave in. These efforts of avoiding participating in the war was called appeasement. America also gave in. Though not really being pressured, such as Britain and France, they instead signed a lending lease, an agreement with other countries besides the Axis powers to supply them with materials for war. Eventually, the isolationists were all forced to join. War had been declared on Britain and France by the Axis powers, and the Japanese attacked America. America had stood in the way of Japan's vision of the Greater East Asia. Therefore, they plotted and pulled off a huge surprise attack called the Attack of Pearl Harbor. The goal being to destroy and cause destruction on the Japanese, great enough so that they would have to surrender. Though the Japanese did do a great job of making America suffer and brought lots of damage, they didn't succeed. America was able to regain their strength and hold on. They officially joined the war. After 3 long years of fighting and the dropping of 2 atomic bombs, the Japanese finally surrendered. America then joined sides with the Allies and helped them fight in Europe. Once America entered the war, everybody played a role. Lots of people had started working in factories and other jobs that didn't deal directly with war, but that was truly essential to war. Since the war had started, Americans' production took a quick boost, completely eliminating unemployment. For once, we were even slightly becoming more diverse and unifying, inviting races of all sorts to fight with us, though there was major unfairness and mistreat for the minorities at times. Once again, the war resulted in lots of death and global devastation, and the Allies being victorious. With so much being due to America and the USSR, who had switched to help defeat Germany, they were the 2 supernations. However, they were bipolar, having two total different forms of government and goals. Therefore, they began another war, called the Cold War. During the Cold War, the United Nations was formed. Germany once again looked for a solution to their problems and tried to make their race pure. And this formed a large genocide that wiped out tons of Jews. Jews overcame that horrible stage, though, and claimed what they believed to be their homeland, a piece from Palestine, Israel. However, many Palestinians feel that their land was unfairly taken from them, so this has caused continuous conflict between the Palestinians and the Israeli Jews. America definitely plays an enormous role in this world.